Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Saad Sangat Ji, welcome back to the next episode. Here we'll explore the 23rd Charitr as a continuation of the story of Anoop Kaur. And in the previous episode we heard how the Raja of Anandpur Shaib, this character that Guruji has created, and basically referring to themselves as one of the characters in the story and the main character in the story. We've heard how that Raja of Anandpur Shaib is now leaving Anoop Kaur's house, right, because she's falsely accusing him of being a robber. And the way they leave was very jungy, was very warrior-like, right? They're showing us their technique of political warfare in a way, right? Where they're running and they catch the nearest person to them, and then because it's nighttime, they make it seem like this is actually the robber, right? And people believe it, and he's sent to jail. Now the story, the tables have turned, where in the beginning we've heard this Raja, Guruji, was basically without any of their Sikhs, right? They did not have things on their side, right? In the very beginning, when they were at Anoop Kaur's house, they did not have things on their side. But now the tables have changed, right? Before they were in Anoop Kaur's territory, right? They were on her terms, right? Anoop Kaur had the ability to accuse them of something and people of the village will believe her. Anoop Kaur had the ability to do anything, and Guruji they basically did not have much means and methods of retaliating, of defending themselves. But now, here, Guruji now has Anoop Kaur's brother in jail, in their facility, right, in their hands, right? Now the things are in their play, right? But the only thing that's left now is the shoes and the shawl, the loi, that Guruji has left at Anoop Kaur's house, right? So she can still use that as a card against Guruji, right? She could still play that card, but we'll see what happens. And she does try to play that card, and how it kind of backfires and goes to the Guru's advantage. But because again, now things have changed, right? The tables have turned. So let's continue from there, and we'll see what makes of it. So Chopei Payo Prat Sabhi Jan Jage. So it's now morning. Prat means morning. It's now morning time and people have woken up. Yeah. Apane karaj lage. Everyone goes to their jobs. Commotion has happened last night, but now everyone's woken up. They went back to sleep. They've woken up now and they're going to their jobs or whatever they had to do for the day. Rai Pavante Bahar Ayo. The Raja, the king, i.e. Guruji, has come outside their pavan, their mahal, their mansion. Sabha bat divan lagayo. They sit inside the sabha and they set up a divan, right, which means they sit inside their court, and they set up a darbar, which we refer to when Guruji's present on their takht, on their Raj Singhasan, on their seat of authority, and they are giving the Sikhs their darshan, their blessed vision, and that's called the divan. Okay, so dohira prat pe tavana triya hit taj ris upajai. Now in the morning of Anoop Kaur, she's very angry. Yeah, so she drops her love for Guruji. Hit the taj. Hit means love. Taj means to leave behind. She drops her love for Guruji. Ris upajai. Ris means anger. She gets very angry, right? Because now Guruji has her brother in their facility. So pani pamari jo hote saban de dikhai. She comes outside of her house and she's like, guys, look, I have the shoes, right, and I have this pamari, this shawl of the person who was here last night, right? And the person that so I'm going to prove or show you guys that the person in Guruji's jail may or may not be that person who was a robber last night, because I have his shoes. We can check, right? So basically she has this idea, or she's showing everyone these two articles that she found. Chaupai Rai Sabha Meh Bachan Uchare. And on the other side, Guruji in their Sabha, in their darbar, right, in their court, they tell everyone a hukam, a order, right? What do they say? They say pani pamri hare hamare. So they say someone has stolen my shoes and shawl, right? They say tahi sikhya jo hame batava. If any of my Sikhs can find and tell me who has my shawl and my shoes, ताके काल निकट नह आवे, Guruji gives a var, a blessing. That person will never be, death can never come near that person. Right? It's just a way of saying that my blessings are with you. That can never come near that person. Whoever tells me where my shoes and my shawl is, right? So that's what's happening on Guru's Darbar. Dohra bachan suntagat gur bakarat te sikhya na sake dorai. When the Sikhs heard this bachan, they could not let go of this opportunity of following the Guru's hukum, right? Because Sikhs, they what they want to do. Guruji is showing us through this Charitr that a Sikh's desire is to follow the Guru's hukum. Whatever the Guru wants you to do, the Sikh wants to do it, right? Pani pamri ko sahat sotriya dei patai. Then the Sikhs in the Sabha, they go out to try to find out where the shoes and the shawl is, and they find out that Anoop Kaur, right, there's this woman, she has these in her hands, and she's showing it off to people, right? So Anoop Kaur's plan is now going to backfire, right? So she is trying to show people these two things for her own reason, but the Guru has implemented a different conversation within the minds of the Sikhs. So now it's going to be shown as Anoop Kaur is the robber, right? Of these two things. Jo pei tabai rai yo bachan uchare gahe liyawo te tir hamare. So Sikhs come and they're like, Maharaj, there's this woman who has these things that you're looking for, the shoes and the shawl, right? And so the Raja, Guruji, they say, okay, grab her. Gehe means to grab her. Liyawo means to bring her to me. Tehe tir hamare. Tir means near. Bring her near to me. Bring her to me, basically. Pani pamari sang la ayo ho. Mor kehe bin tras na dayo ho. And bring the two articles that I told you, the shawl and the shoes. Bring those as well. But don't terrorize her without my saying, right? Don't put fear into her. Don't bother her. Don't harass her, basically. Just bring those things that she has and bring her as well. Bring Anoop Kaur to me as well, right? So Dohra sunat rai ke bachan ko log pare ardaye panri pamri triya sahat liyawat pehe banaye. So all the Sikhs, after hearing Guruji's hukum, they go bring Anoop Kaur and the two artifacts that she had to Guruji. And like Guruji said, not to give her any fear, don't harass her, don't terrorize her. They followed that and they brought her with much respect as they could, right? So basically, Guruji is looking out for her in a way, right? They know that her mistake is temporary in a way. It's just a mistake, right? We all make mistakes. And so Guruji is looking out for her as you're sick. Because the ending of the story will end off in that way, where Anoop Kaur will eventually become Guruji's Sikh, right? And we'll explore that soon. Adil, koho sundar kehe kaj bastar te hare hamare. Maharaj is talking here in this Adil Shant, in this stanza, in the meter of Adil. Guruji is talking here. They're saying, koho sundari. Sundar means sundari, or woman. Tell me, why did you steal my hare means to steal, hamare means mine. Why did you steal my bastar? Bastar means clothing. Why did you steal my clothing? Why did you take my shawl and my shoes, right? Dekh patan ki peer tras upjyo na tihare. Did you not fear, what will happen to you? What will be the consequences of taking these things, right? There's so many Sikhs here. Did you not fear, right? And they're kind of like, it's like a secret conversation happening behind this conversation, right? Guruji knows the truth is, right? They know what the truth is, and she knows what the truth is. They both know that when Guruji is saying that, did you not fear what's going to happen to you? They're referring to the night before, where she brought Guruji to her house in such a way to basically. Basically she wanted to have Guruji for herself, and with her lust and everything that happened. So Maharaj is basically saying, did you not fear, when you created this plan or you created this scheme, right? So continue on. Jo chori jan kare kaho tanko kya karyo. So the person, Maharaj is now speaking, they said, the person who steals, right? What should I do with him? What should I do with that person? Ho nar jan ko kya taro natar jiyate tohe mariyo. I would have killed you, right? Guruji is saying, I would have executed you, for this crime of stealing if you were not a female. because you're a female, I'm letting you go easy, right? I'm not killing you, right? I'm not executing you because you're a female. If you were a male, I would have been much more stern with you. Dohra. Par piyari mukh par gayi nain rahi nihrai. So that Anoop Kaur, she's very embarrassed now, because now things are not in her court. She's in the Guru's house. She's on the Guru's terms, right? Now she puts her eyes down. She puts her face down because she doesn't know what to say. Tarak chhattiya kara. Her heart is beating. Tarak means it's beating very fast. She's nervous. She's anxious. Bache na pakhyo jai. She cannot speak. Bachan means words. Pakhyo means to speak. She's not able to speak. She's so nervous now. She doesn't know what to do. Adil ham puchenge yahe na tum kach pakhyo. So Guruji sees that she's not comfortable in talking right now. She's not able to confront Guruji in this way, because there's a sabha going on, there's a divan, Guruji's bringing her, bringing this conversation in front of many people, right? So now Guruji says, I'm going to talk to her in private, right? None of my Sikhs are allowed to, again, harass her or say anything to her. Yahi ke karmahe pali bid rakhiyo. Take her to her house. Take her to her house in respectfully, and later I will have a conversation with her. Nirno kar hai ek ekant bulai ke. I'm going to talk to her in ekant, in privacy, and then I will have a decision made. Nirna means to make a decision. Hon tab de hai eh jaan hirday sukh paaye ke. And that way I'm going to be able to give peace to her heart. So Guruji is referring to her heart being in turmoil. Right, and we knew this from the first episode that we heard in both parts, right, of Charitr episode 21, where Guruji is basically seeing that she is in pain, right? She's in pain. Lust is taking over her, right, and she's not able to relieve herself of this lust, right? And she feels like the only way I can relieve myself of this lust is exerting it on another person, right? In this case, Guruji, right? But that's not the solution, right? If we know within Eastern philosophy, or the philosophy of, the Indic philosophy, you can say, or the spirituality of the Eastern traditions, Sufism or Sanatan Dharam, or within the Sikh Dharam, or any of those kind of philosophies, what we find is that we're told lust is like fire. The more you give into lust, the more the fire grows. Compared to what I will say Western Soch, it's not really Western Soch, but the Soch of the West, right? The thinking of the West, the philosophy of the West is, if you have lust, give into it. If you have lust, explore it, right? If you have lust, just release yourself into that world, and you'll feel better, right? And temporarily you do feel better, right? But in the long term, right, that fire that feels like it's gone, has been extinguished, has not. Actually, you had just fed that fire a lot more firewood, and it's going to grow. Next time it comes back to you, it's going to come back stronger, and then stronger and stronger. So Eastern philosophy would say, or our philosophy would say, don't give in to lust, right? Instead, control it now. It's easier to control it now. Then if you give into it and try to control it later, it'll be harder. Addiction, the more you give into addiction, your willpower gets less and less and less. The more your willpower gets less and less, the addiction gets stronger and stronger, right? So anyways, so Guruji is saying, I'm going to give her sukh, right? So that's a key word here. I'm going to give her happiness, right? I want to give her happiness for this reason. I'll have a conversation with her later. Okay, so Chaupai Prat Peotriya Bohar Balai. Now Guruji sends Anoop Kaur back home, right? The next morning, right, Guruji calls for Anoop Kaur, remember, in privacy. Sakal katha kehta hai sunai. In that moment, Guruji then narrates everything to Anoop Kaur. How she played with Guruji, how she tried to deceive Guruji, right? And then what Guruji did to come back, right? Tum kop ham par ਚਰਿਤ ਬਣਾਇਓ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਧਾਰ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਚਰਿੱਤਰ ਬਣਾਇਆ, right? Guruji is talking to Anoop Kaur by saying that you got angry. Kop, remember, means anger. You got angry with me and you made this charitar, right? You told everyone that I'm a robber. You try to frame me Hum hu tum keh Charitr dikhayo. And for that reason, I made this Charitr to show you, right? To show you that what you were doing was wrong, right? I created this whole play for you to understand that what you were doing was wrong, okay? Taako prat band te choreo. I have your brother in custody, but I'm going to release your brother, okay? And in that way, Guruji explained to Anoop Kaur her mistakes. Right? They got her brother out of jail. They explained to her mistake, that you should not do this ever again. Okay? What your mistake was, you out of lust, you basically try to create this DoorDash order, right? You try to call me as you try to call for me alone, right? I came, right, thinking that you're someone else, right? And then when I came, what did you do? You put me in this dilemma that I have to make love with you, otherwise you're going to accuse me of a robber and frame me in this way, and that was not right for you to do that. Right? You need to understand there's something called consent. Right. First of all, you don't bring someone to your house under deception. Right. Second of all, you have to have the consent of the other person to be in a relationship with them. When I straight up told you that I'm already married, I'm not going to go into a relationship with you. You should have understood. Right. Like there's always strike one that you brought me here under false terms. But strike two is that when I'm telling you that this is not possible, it's not feasible. I already have my dharam to my wife. I already have my dharam to my Sikhi, to my Guru. And Guruji explains their narration of how their father, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, taught or narrated them Sikhyama, Upadesh, teachings of the situation of being with a parai istri. That's not allowed for us. That's definitely not allowed. And they explain to us what would happen if one were to engage with a parai istri, with a woman or with a male that's not yours, right? Okay. Bohar as jiya kabhuna tariyo. Guru says, never again in your heart carry this plan out again. Never carry this scheme in your heart ever again, right? To lure someone into your house and then put them in this dilemma. Mo aparad chimapan kariyo, right? Guruji, at the same time, they said that if I've ever made a mistake with you, please forgive me, right? They say mo aparad, if I made a mistake, chipapan kariyo. Chipapan means chima, forgiveness, right? Then forgive me, right? So Guruji here is, teaching her a lesson. They taught her a lesson. They're releasing her brother. They're releasing her, right? And at the same time, they're saying, if I made a mistake, just, please forgive me. Dohra chima karoho ab triya hamai bohar na kariho rand. Guruji says, now again, don't do this. Rand means chal. Don't make this deception ever again. 20 hans taka tisa dei chima hi man. Then Guru Sahib gave her 2,000 taka. Taka means coins or money. So they gave her basically 2,000 of whatever currency was in this story or at that time. Let's just say for the sake of the story, rupees. Guruji gave 2,000 rupees to her and her brother. So, they gave her money. And they also let her go. And they basically showed us at the end, Guruji cares about everyone, right? And Chima Band, Guruji forgave her, right? And band means here a bandhan or some sort of attachment, right? And so what one can conclude is that Anoop Kaur became a faithful Sikh of the Guru after this, right? And I'm going to just show you a tika here, a steek here, written by Gyani Bishan Singh. And Gyani Bishan Singh Ji is from the missionary colleges, but it's a very, very beautiful steek written quite a long time ago. And you can find this on the Punjab Digital Library. punjabdigitallibrary.org, and he's written a footnote here, and he's not written many footnotes before this. So he's written a footnote here about Anoop Kaur, which I would like to share with you. So he writes here, Anandpur de ਅਖੀਰਲੇ ਜੰਗ ਦੇ ਹਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਬੜਾ ਸਮਾਚਾਰ ਆਇਆ ਹੈ. Samachar means solution, that in the last fight of Anandpur Shaib, ठीक है, and the last fight of Anandpur Shaib, this samachar has came about कि जिस तरह ਹੋਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਖਿਲੜ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ, in the way that the whole family was separated. And the last battle of Anandpur Shaib, referring to 1704, when there was a Keda or a Anandpur Shaib the Killa of Anandpur Shaib was surrounded by all sides by the Pahadiye and the Mughal forces, right? For 6 to 8 months, and trying to get Guruji out of the Killa, right? Let's talk about that time when Guruji did leave and they made it to the river of Sarsa Nadi. When they reached there, the Paravar Vichoda happens there. The family is separated there. Guruji and a couple of Sikhs are going to Chamkor di Gadi. Baba Fateh Singh Ji and Baba Zorawar Singh Ji, Baba Jujhar Singh Ji is going with Mata Gujri Ji, and then on the other side we have like Bhai Mani Singh Ji with the 2 mahals of Guru Sahib. So that's what they're referring to here. So when that happened, ਇੱਕਰ ਹੀ ਸਰਸਾ ਨਦੀ ਦੇ ਲੰਘਣ ਸਮੇਂ ਇਸ ਅਨੂਪ ਕੌਰ ਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਟਹਿਲਣ ਸੀ ਮਲੇਰ ਕੋਟਲੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਖਾਨ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਗਏ ਸੀ. So they're saying that in that moment what happens is that Anoop Kaur is present in that moment in 1704, and she according to Gyani Vishnu Singh, she was the Guru Kar's di Tehlan means sevak. She was a very prominent Gursikh at that time. She got caught by the Maler Kotle Khan. So the Khans of Maler Kotla is an area of Punjab. So she got caught by those people from the Maler Kotla. ਇਹ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਸਤ ਭੰਗ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਬੜਾ ਯਤਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ. They try to rid her of her sat. Sat means celibacy. They tried to basically rape her. They tried a lot, but they were not able to. ਪਰ ਇਹ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਅਜਿਹੀ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਪੱਕੀ ਨਿਕਲੀ ਜੋ ਇਸ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਤੁਰਕ ਨਾਲ ਬੇਵਿਚਾਰ ਨਾ ਕੀਤਾ. ਉਸ ਨੇ ਬਥੇਰੇ ਤਰਲੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਤੇ ਧਮਕੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ. ਜਦੋਂ ਅਨੂਪ ਕੌਰ ਨੇ ਸਮਝਿਆ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਧਰਮ ਨਸ਼ਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਟਾਰੀ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਮਰ ਗਈ. So when she was caught by the Khan of Malerkotla of that area, the Khan of that area, he tried to rape her, and she tried her best not to she tried to fight him off, right? But when she saw that my dharam will be destroyed here, when she saw that I have no other option, she took a katari. Katari means a katar. Katar is a weapon, a handheld weapon, and she striked her own self, right? She killed her own self. She suicided. She committed suicide to save her dharam. ठीक है. ਤਾਂ ਤੁਰਕ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਬਰ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਦੱਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ. Then what did that Turk, the Musliman do, the Khan do? He made he buried her, right? Because she died, right? She committed suicide. He buried her, made a qabr for her, right? So Babe Bande Bahadur ne aake is diyan haddiyan da sanskar kita. So when Baba Banda Singh Bahadur's time came, after 1708, he was given the mission of getting revenge for what happened to Sirhan, to you can say seek justice, right? Not revenge, but get justice, right? For what happened to the Chote Sahibzade, right? In Sirhan di Tarti by Veechar Khan. When he was on that mission, Baba Banda Singh Bahadur came here where she was buried, Anoop Kaur was buried, dug her, at that time what was left of her bones, right? Dug her bones up and did proper Sikh sanskar to her, right? So they properly cremated her as the Sikh tradition holds. ठीक है. And te Malaria Khan nu maaf kar ditta, and he forgave the Malaria Khan. I guess maybe because that Khan from Malerkot, he probably surrendered to Baba Banda Singh Bahadur and asked for forgiveness, so Baba Ji forgave him. ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰਸੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਦਾਸੀ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅੰਤ ਨੂੰ ਧਰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੱਕੀ ਨਿਤਰੀ ਹੈ. So from this Sakhi, Gyani Gobind Singh Ji is concluding that we can come to the conclusion that Anoop Kaur became the Gursikh of Guru Sahib, and she stayed pakka in her dharam. She stayed faithful to her dharam as ordained by Guruji. So Gyani Vishnu Singh Ji does not quote their source of this story, and I have yet to come across it myself in our history books, but the mention here by a scholar is enough for me to say that this character Guruji used, throughout this tale, there was this spine of a reality there. There were Guruji's, there's a main character, Anoop Kaur, who was actually a Sikh in Anandpur Shaib, and who, committed this huge step, by taking her life. Why? To save her dharam. Yeah. So Saad Sangat Ji, this is where we conclude this episode, and we conclude the 23rd Charitr in Charitropakhyan. This is where the story of Anoop Kaur ends. So thank you so much for pulling through all these parts. I believe there's 4 parts in total of this of the story of Anoop Kaur. So please, if you have not seen the first 3 parts, I encourage you to see those to get a complete picture of what's going on here. And I thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in the next episode. ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਖਿਮਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਣੀ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।